Merry Christmas, Calvary greetings. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching me now. We are now into serious business. Today, we are going to examine how to value our environment. In my last publication, I said we are going to deal with environmental philosophy of religion and eco-theology. How do we treat our environment? How do we treat nature and how do we treat animals and plants? What impact, what consequences do environmental pollution constitute? Why are people dying due to environmental concerns, or why are people getting sick? Why is it so important for us to have trees around us? What kind of air do we breathe out and what kind of air do we breathe in? Do we know that the animals and plants also have moral status? So we are going to start today, how to value our environment. And I'll be sharing with you a PowerPoint presentation. If you look down, you will see my email, Gmail. If you have any comments or you want to reach me personally, you could contact me on my Gmail, or you could make your comments under this YouTube presentation. But basically, I want this to be interactive, which means take your pen, take your paper, a sheet of paper to note down certain things. And more importantly, like, subscribe, and share. We are starting a series. Maybe the next 4 episodes, we'll be talking about environment and eco-theology. And thereafter, before we go to another germane philosophy of religion and theology course, we branch to talk about how to write an abstract. Most of you are in institutions who are doing masters or you are doing your doctoral Ph.D. Maybe you are doing a study in doctor of philosophy or in whatever discipline. You need to write an abstract. What is an abstract, especially when it comes to academic writing, thesis, dissertation? How do you write a kind of abstract that your professor will be very proud of you? I'm going to share with you some key points. An abstract is just like a trailer, movie trailer. You know, a movie trailer shows you how interesting that movie is going to be. Concise enough to give you a preview on what that is going. So we come back to that. So without wasting time, I hope you now have your pen and you have your paper to take notes. Just hold on for me when I share my PowerPoint. I will put it on slideshow so that we can play from start and then so that you can see it clearly. Hello, everyone. I hope you can see my screen very well. Thank you. And like I said, please don't forget to like this page. Don't forget to subscribe. More importantly, don't forget to share. Like I said, we are talking about environmental philosophy of religion and eco-theology. Basically, how to value our environment. In that first slide, I show you a kind of pond, a pollution. You can imagine. that kind of polluted water is what the person drawing it we drink from, we bathe from, and basically we do most things that you use water to do. And then we can find diseases, carbon water disease, which could cause a lot of, even pandemic. And it could cause death, it could cause severe sickness, diarrhea, malaria, so many things I cannot begin to mention it. But before we go down into the impact or consequences of the various types of environmental pollution, what is environmental philosophy of religion? It is a branch of philosophy that is concerned with the natural environment and human's place within it. For those who are Christians or who came into the creation story in the Bible, you will realize that animals and plants were created by God even before God created humankind in his image and likeness. And when we talk about this environmental philosophy, it includes ethics. What are the environmental ethics? There are certain ethical conducts that human beings must follow to maintain stability in the environment. Because once that stability is no longer there, we have problems, not just with ourselves, even with the animals and plants that are around. Aesthetics. I'll give you an example when we talk about aesthetics. Anybody who wants to read the history of Dubai in the UAE, or who has been there, we realize that that place was, but naturally, desert. Go and see what Dubai has turned out to. Many, many people will give anything to go there for a holiday. That is what we call aesthetics. Human-made paradise. That's what they have turned Dubai into. In fact, because it's desert and they don't have rain, they created rain. And now we can talk also ecofeminism, environmental theology, which is also a branch of environmental philosophy. Some of the areas of interest that environmental philosophers have done, they define environment and nature. Because when we talk about nature, is it the same thing as we are saying, like environment? Is there a difference between environment and nature? Are they interchangeable? And like the title of this series, how to value the environment. Do we really value the environment? Are we giving the animals and plants their moral structures that they should have? These are the kind of things we are going to look into, just an overview. Then we talk about endangered species. I tell you, recently I read, I think on one of my platforms about elephants, endangered species of elephants who are attacking a particular village in Ogun State in the southwest Nigeria, Africa. Because it belongs to the Africa, these villagers are complaining seriously that these endangered elephants are destroying their livelihood, which is farming. But they can't kill them because they're endangered species. There are very few left of that type of elephants. That's what we mean. Then we also, there in environmental philosophy of religion, we look at environmental and deep ecology, the aesthetic value of nature, restoration of nature. When even on natural disaster like tsunami or anything destroy a particular area, how do we restore that particular nature, especially when you are looking and you are considering the future generations. It's important because whatever we do today, we should consider those who are coming after. So I will branch here to talk about eco-theology itself, which is a form of constructive theology that focuses on the interrelationships of religion and nature. What has religion got to do with nature? Or what has nature got to do with religion? Especially when we are talking in the light of environmental concerns. And I still refer back to those who believe in the word of God in the scriptures. And you will know that after God made man in his image and likeness, he gave us the macro and micro economy of the whole world to manage. How is man actually managing this world? It's a concern for us. So eco-theology generally starts from the premise that a relationship exists between human, religious, spiritual worldviews and the degradation of nature. Are those churches we have around there, are they discussing how to maintain environment with their congregation? When they preach on the pulpit, do they refer to the environment? Do they highlight what the congregation should do about their environment? What God says about managing the environment? Ecotheology also explores the interaction between ecological values such as sustainability and the human domination of nature. Human beings, we have so dominated the nature that at times we forget that animals have rights, plants have rights. And it's one of the problems that we're having today, because if these animals revolt, where will we be? Like those elephants that I spoke of earlier. They are revolting because everything they should have, where they are not getting it. That's why they're going into the villages to search for those things themselves. It's a kind of revolt. The awareness of environmental crisis has led to widespread religious reflection on the human relationship with the earth. Are we actually following? Well, either even if you don't believe in God of creation, you are talking about the World Bank, you are talking about other things that, nature. You want to talk about the natural environment because you do not believe there is a God. But is the nature now the same as it was in the beginning or before? Big Bang theory, or what do we call it? Evolution. If you believe on evolution, how have we? Definitely, human beings the way we are today is not what we used to be. When you look at our ancestors, therefore, humans, everything, we evolve in one way or the other. And Christian ecotheology draws on the writings of such authors as Jesuit priests and the paleontologists like Pratel Duchardin, who's a process theologian, Alfred North Whitehead, which is widely represented in Protestantism by John Cobb Jr. George Mortman, the ecofeminist theologians, Rosemary Radford Ruether, Catherine Keller, and Sally McPhee. Just few of them. There are more. And when we look at the creation theology, it's another important expression of eco-theology that has been developed and popularized by Matthew Fox, the former Catholic priest. Abraham Joshua and Martin Buber, both Jewish theologians, have also left the mark on Christian eco-theology and provide significant inspiration for Jewish eco-theology. We have Hindu eco-theology. We have liberal Muslim theologian. We have early forces calling for a re-evaluation of Western relationships to nature. Because when we talk about religion, there are so many religions in the world. And as many as we have theologians in those fields and the postulations or whatever they're saying. Now, let me just mention a few things about precedents in religious thoughts. Christianity has often been viewed as the source of negative values towards the environment. But there are many voices within the Christian tradition whose vision embraces the well-being of the earth and all creatures. While St. Francis of Assisi is one of the more obvious influences on Christian eco-theology, there are many theologians and teachers whose work has profound implication for Christian thinkers. What we are doing here, which is free, is giving you an overview to get you interested. If you really want to study deeply into environmental philosophy of religion and eco-theology, then you need to probably subscribe for our masterclass. That is different from the subscribe for this YouTube channel, which is free. I want you to subscribe for this YouTube because once you do, anytime we post a new video, you get your notification on YouTube that we have something new for you. Many of these are well known or less well known in the West because of the primary influence has been on Orthodox Church rather than the Roman Catholic Church. So the significance of indigenous traditions for the development of eco-theology can also not be understated. And I'm not going to talk about the historical roots of ecological crisis, which is a paper written by Lynn White, a professor of history at the University of California, Los Angeles. That paper generated a lot of debates, pro and con. So I'm not going into that details. All I want you to know for sure is that valuing our environment is very, very important. And before we finish the first series, the first one is just what's gone through. We have the second one, which I probably will do later. Next Tuesday, by God's grace, we post the video of the second, how to value an environment. And the Tuesday after that, we post the third one, and last one, we post one. And don't forget, I said, thereafter, we will post a bit from courses to look into how to write a very good research abstract. So stay tuned. Like this page, subscribe to it, which is free, to get notification for our next video, and please share it. I love you all. I wish you Merry Christmas. I wish you a fantastic end of the year and the coming new year. The joy of the Lord shall remain permanent in our homes and in our hearts. Love you.